2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Seattle. Game 2 of this 3-game series will take place this afternoon with lots of Blue Jay fans in attendance here at Safeco Field. Last night there were 43,328 here. It is said to be a sellout crowd this afternoon, Pat, and the Blue Jay fans really show up here in Seattle.
And they are passionate about the Blue Jays. You and I got a chance to visit with some of them today before the ball game, and they're from all over Canada. They roll down here and they just get behind their Blue Jays, and they love, and they want to see a Blue Jays win this afternoon.
The Jays have to take some of that energy and turn it into wins. They are 2-5 in their last 7 games here at Safeco Field, and John Gibbons knows this is a tough place for his ball club to play. Take a look at the lineup for the Blue Jays. Right at the top of the order, a couple of guys that are going to be very important today against the Seattle starter Jay Happ. Jose Reyes in his last 15 games is swinging a hot bat, .344 average with 4 doubles and 6 ribbies for the leadoff man. And right behind him, how about Josh Donaldson? This season against left-handed pitchers, he's worn them out at a .338 clip. Got 13 extra base hits and 15 RBIs, and that serves him well today against the left-hander Jay Happ.
Jay Happ will get the start this afternoon for the Seattle Mariners. He's facing the Jays for the first time since being acquired by trade in December from Toronto. Jay started the season on fire. He went 3-1 with a very nice ERA of .330 in his first 11 starts, but he struggled in his last 7, going 1-5 with an ERA approaching 6. He has pitched well here at Safeco Field. He's a fly ball type of pitcher, and that bodes really well in this ballpark. The ball doesn't really carry here. This is his second career start versus the Blue Jays. First one was a complete game shutout back in June of 2009 when he was a member of the Philadelphia Phillies.
That was when Happ had a terrific season. He finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Let's take a look at the defense in the outfield. It's Smith, Jackson, and Trumbo. Mark Trumbo starting in place of Nelson Cruz, who's the DH this afternoon. Seager, Taylor, Cano, and Morrison from third to first, and behind the plate, Jesus Sucre is the catcher for Jay Happ here this afternoon.
And over at second base, we just love watching this guy play. He's so smooth. He's a Gold Glove winner, Robinson Cano, in 2010 and 2012. The right side of this infield is very good for the Seattle Mariners.
Sure hands, and that's always important. Jay Happ will put the ball in play. He throws a lot of fastballs, and Blue Jays are aware of that. Here's the first pitch of the game. There's a fastball, but it's off the plate inside. Reyes, the switch hitter, batting right-handed against Happ. We mentioned his hot streak. His last 15 games have been good. Fans trying to help out the Blue Jays early here. There's a ground ball to third. Seager has it. 1 up, 1 down for Jay Happ.
Well, you mentioned that he throws a lot of fastballs, and that's true. He'll pound that strike zone. He can do that, I think, a lot easier in this ballpark than he did at Rogers Center when he's a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. That was a homer heaven right there. A lot of balls in the air leave the ballpark. Here, they're just long fly ball outs.
Jay Happ pitched parts of 3 seasons with the Blue Jays. He had a 19-20 record. Appeared in 58 games, made 50 starts for the Blue Jays. Here is Josh Donaldson. Donaldson swings and misses at the high fastball. I spoke to Josh today around the batting cage. I said, "You like this ballpark?" He says, "I love this ballpark, but I never hit here."
Why does he love it so much?
He just likes everything about it. Great atmosphere, but he said that they don't give me much to hit. Ground ball. Seager wide of third. Makes a nice play. Takes a hit away from Donaldson. 2 ground ball outs to start the game. Jose Bautista last night facing Felix Hernandez in the 6th inning with 2 outs.
It was a heck of an at-bat. He fell behind, and then King Felix tried to nibble He got it back to 3-2 and then said, you know what, I've got a big lead here. I'm going to challenge Bautista. And that's what happens when you try and challenge Bautista. Jose is still very quick on the inner half. Hit a bullet.
Absolutely loves hitting against the Mariners. And he's got a couple of interesting streaks. He's hitting 15 straight against Seattle. He's reached base 35 straight games against the Mariners. That's a ridiculous amount of consistency for Bautista.
Well, you're dealing with some great pitchers, too. Seattle's always had some very good pitchers that they throw against the Blue Jays.
A lot of Bautista fans in attendance, even out in center field. They're all over this ballpark. Blue Jay fans have really turned out this weekend. We mentioned Bautista's 15-game hit streak here at Safeco Field. Look at the numbers. 367 average, 5 homers, 10 ribbies, and an OPS over 1.
And remember, this is not really a hitter's ballpark.
That's a fly ball. Center fielder Austin Jackson calls for it in front of Seth Smith, the left fielder. 3 up, 3 down. Good start for Jay Happ. In the first day of July, Lloyd McClendon's ball club a little bit inconsistent, but since the All-Star break, they're starting to play a little bit better. Take a look at the lineup for the Seattle Mariners. Austin Jackson right at the top of the order against the Blue Jays. He's been a .312 hitter for his career. Got 11 extra base hits and 11 RBIs. And then in the cleanup spot, Robinson Cano. July, he's hit .345. His average is creeping up. He's currently hitting .263 in Cano. Since he's dropped down in that cleanup spot, starting to swing the bat a little bit better.
They will face Drew Hutchison this afternoon. Hutch has been scratched each of the last 2 days because of the flu-like symptoms. He feels a little bit better today. He takes that 9-2 record to the mound this afternoon. His only appearance against the Mariners came last season here at Safeco when he gave up 6 runs in 5 2/3 innings. I thought his last time out on the 17th against Tampa Bay started to use the changeup just a little bit more. That's his longest start since June the 6th through 6 innings against Tampa.
Austin Jackson goes after the first pitch. We'll keep an eye on that changeup, see how quickly he gets it into the mix this afternoon. Jackson batting .253 for the season. There's a base hit that's going to get down in front of Danny Valencia. Leadoff man's aboard. Defensively for the season, the Blue Jays have committed 59 errors. Defense recently has been a concern. In the outfield, Danny Valencia gets another starter in left. Pilar and Bautista. They share a lot of information while they're playing in the outfield. Donaldson, Reyes, Travis, and Chris Colabello over at first. Russell Martin back behind the plate. He did not play in the game last night. Drew Hutchison on the mound.
And with the left-hander on the mound for Seattle, Chris Colabello will get the start this afternoon at first base. He's been sharing time with Encarnacion when the lefty pitches. This afternoon, Edwin is the DH and Chris is the first baseman.
Kyle Seager went 1 for 4 in the game last night. He goes after the first pitch and fouls it back. Seager is part of the foundation that the Mariners have put in place after they brought Robinson Cano into that lucrative 10-year contract. They signed Cruz this past offseason, and they tied up Kyle Seager for the long haul.
Big contract for Seager, but he's worth it. Young player, Gold Glove winner, and he can hit.
Hutchison took a long time as he wanted to make sure Jackson didn't get a good jump over at first, and Seager asked for time.
Yeah, on top of messing with the hitter, or excuse me, the base runner, you can mess with the hitter. A guy like Kyle Seager, he can get set in the box and he's ready for that pitch to come in there. You start holding that ball as a pitcher a little bit longer, you can really tense up as a hitter.
There's another base hit. Bautista's coming over. He's going to play it on the hop. Back-to-back singles off of Hutchison to start the game.
In that last start against Tampa Bay, he started incorporating the changeup just a little bit more. Threw 18 of them in the 6 innings. I think that one was one right there. It went down and away, but Seager's a good hitter. He covers that ball. He got him to chase it. Chase after that changeup in that last start, which is important.
He's matched up against Jake Odorizzi, the Tampa Bay right-hander. Hutchison in that start. 2 runs on 5 hits over 6 innings. Here is the dangerous Nelson Cruz, the DH this afternoon. He goes after the first pitch. There's a single into center. Jackson is being stopped, and Pilar's throw is right on the money. I thought for sure Jackson was going to score. Pilar had a long run to get to the ball, but Rich Donnelly, the third base coach, threw up the stop sign. 3 consecutive hits to start the game. Why gamble, I guess?
Yeah, and the grass is very thick. It takes a while to get there. Jackson hesitated very briefly after that ball was hit. He didn't break on contact. Watch him. Freeze, and now he's got to get going once again. And you're right. Rich Donnelly saying, hey, I'm going to look at the scoreboard. There's no outs and my cleanup hitters coming up. I'm not going to run into an out.
Yeah, and you picked up on it quickly how Jackson didn't read the ball very well off the bat, so Donnelly stopped him at third. Bases loaded, nobody out. Robinson Cano. He's got 9 Grand Slam home runs. You talk about Cano heating up since they put him in that cleanup spot, and this is exactly what the Mariners were hoping for in the first inning.
The month of July has been really good for Robinson Cano. This is his best month in his career.
Fastball upstairs, and he chases.
Mentioned Cano hitting .349 this month. The Mariners hitting .264 this month, which is the 4th best average in the American League. So maybe their hitting is starting to catch up to their pitching.
Well, Lloyd McClendon challenged his ball club after the All-Star break. Says we got to turn things around, fellas. They're playing a little bit better. Cano fouls it into the seats. Drew Hutchison, over his last 4 road appearances, has been hit around. At Boston, at Tampa Bay, at Detroit, and at Chicago. His ERA 10. And in that Boston start, first of those 4 consecutive road games, Blue Jays came back and won it 13-10 after Hutchison got knocked out early. Cano, with 2 strikes, cutting down his swing, gets jammed on that pitch.
Yeah, they're pitching him up. Fastball's up. They don't think he can get on top of that. Cano's batting average might be a little deceiving. It's at .263. He's hit .300 in 8 of his 10 years in the big leagues, but his line drive rate, the percentage rate, 29%, which is 2nd in the American League. So maybe he's hitting in a little bit of bad luck.
That fastball was right at the top of the zone.
They tried to go there last night to Robbie Cano. If you remember that fastball that was up, and he ripped it into the gap for a triple.
It was in the 5th inning. He drove in 2. And Cano's triple really busted it wide open and gave Felix Hernandez a comfortable lead at that point.
Looks like they want to stay up there. You can see on pitch tracker, everything is up.
Right now he's in a swing mode, so it might not be a bad idea to bounce a breaking ball. 1-2. Oh, he got him. He changed his eye plan. He used that fastball down around the knees, and Cano strikes out looking.
That's a good call right there. Everything up, 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 and that was on purpose. And then he goes back down. That looked like it might have had a little cut to it as it scrapes the outside edge for a strikeout. Big one.
Left fielder Seth Smith. One out. He chases that high fastball. Well, this has been a real problem for the Mariners all season long, hitting with runners in scoring position. They're last in the American League in that department. And their lineup doesn't suggest they should struggle like that. Lloyd McClendon's been scratching his head all season long. What's the problem?
Just haven't been able to come up with a big base hit. You're right. There's a lot of talented hitters in this lineup. It shouldn't be that low. But when you start chasing pitches like that, you're going to invite the pitcher to get out of this.
Oh, 0-2. Hutchison trying to pitch out of an early jam. 3 consecutive singles have loaded the bases. Then Hutch struck out Cano. This is where you've got to think your way through it, not try to muscle your way through it if you're Hutchison. You can also lean on Russell Martin.
That's key right there. You go through your scouting reports and you have an idea if you need to have a go-to pitch or a go-to at bat. What am I going to do to try and get through this?
Another fastball upstairs once again, just like the Cano at bat. Fastball, fastball, fastball up. Is it time to change and go downstairs?
Go down, go with some off-speed pitch. Those fastballs up and away, that's by design. In the past, we've seen Hutch, lose his release point and that ball would shoot up, but that's by design right there, trying to get Smith to chase.
Ball is driven into center. Pilar is over in the alley. He makes the catch. Jackson tags at third, and he'll come in to score the first run of the ball game. Seth Smith with the sacrifice fly. 1-0 Seattle.
Going for the strikeout right there. They went one more time with a high fastball. And Smith, after that second swing, he had a long swing to fall in the hole 0-2. He cut his swing down, shortened things up just a little bit, and gets an RBI.
First inning has been a real challenge for Drew Hutchison. And it's not really unusual. Starting pitchers take a few pitches to settle in. Mark Trumbo with a mighty cut. Trumbo homered in the game last night, hit a home run to right field in the 4th inning. His 12th of the season. His 3rd for the Mariners.
Just muscled that ball to right field. He doesn't have to pull it to hit it out of the ballpark.
Fouled straight back.
Watch where this pitch is. It's down and away, and he just barrels it up and lifts it to right field. It just kept carrying. Right over the head of Jose Bautista. Home run. That was a big hit in last night's game. Also, he's swinging a hot bat.
Since the 4th of July, Trumbo's hit .353. Couple of doubles, 2 home runs. There's those numbers. 0-2. Popped up. That's out of play. If Hutchison can wiggle his way out of this inning, allowing just 1 run, the Blue Jays will be thrilled. 3 straight hits to start the game. Remember, Hutchison missed the last 2 days. He was scheduled to start both of those days, but he's been battling a virus.
He's been reaching back since the Cano at bat for a little something extra. All fastballs so far.
Ball gets away from Martin, but Seager wasn't really sure where the ball was, so he stays put at second. You know, Hutchison has been weak, and John Gibbons told us yesterday just doesn't have his strength, and now he's thrown 20 pitches in the inning. That's like a boxer being asked to go 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes in a round.
He was talking today, John Gibbons was, you know, sometimes when you're not feeling like that, you just go out there and you don't worry about everything around you. You just go out there and pitch. And he has seen guys not feeling well go out there and pitch really well.
Yeah, well, your expectations aren't very high.
Right. You're not worrying about all the things that can be negative. You're just trying to survive and just get through the day.
Another breaking ball. That one is downstairs. No swing, said Chad Fairchild. Down at first. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the first. Seattle with a first inning run. Seth Smith with the sacrifice fly drives home Austin Jackson, who singled to start the game. Just off the outside edge. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
I just thought he had him right there. Tried to paint that outside corner with a fastball, and it was just off the plate.
Logan Morrison will bat if Trumbo can keep the inning alive. There go the runners. Inside, ball 4. That'll load the bases once again. Pete Walker, he's got to be thinking about going to the mound just to see if he can help Hutchison. He's thrown a lot of pitches in this first inning just to give him a breather.
I think that's a good idea. Maybe Russell Martin can go out there and talk to him. Well, there he goes right now. Go out there and just give him a breather so he can catch his breath. Just talk about it just a little bit. Stay out there until the umpire breaks it up.
Well, you know how you feel after you've been under the weather for a while. You feel weak, and then you exert yourself in this first inning and you lose even more stamina. Zaps your strength a little bit more. Logan Morrison, 225 on the season. Bases loaded and 2 outs. Ground ball. Olabello at first will go to the bag. Foot race, and he beats Morrison. Hutchison minimizes the damage. He gives up 3 hits, but just 1 run.
time with the fans pregame signing some autographs. However, Edwin had a very interesting autograph request before the game. A young fella handed his prosthetic leg to Edwin. Edwin not only signed it, guys, he took the leg into the Blue Jays clubhouse and got the entire team to sign it as well. The young fella was a very, very happy kid when he got his leg back and found the autographs of every Blue Jay on it. Nice story.
That's a beautiful story, certainly. You got to give Edwin a lot of credit for taking the time, taking in the clubhouse, and that young man had to be thrilled to not only get Edwin's autograph, but get the entire team's on it. And you know what? These guys do an awful lot of things that nobody ever knows about, and you got to give them a lot of credit for taking the time. I think they understand the impact, and it's really easy to see the impact you have on fans when you're here in Seattle. I mean, Blue Jay fans have made trips. I mean, we have met fans from coast to coast, literally, across Canada.
Passionate fans who love the Blue Jays and love to be around the team, be part of it.
I think it's a good reminder for everybody, the impact that baseball has on people. And you can see they have come a long way. 2,239 kilometers we drove to come to see the Blue Jays. Sucre shuffles to his left, makes a good play. Well, we mentioned Jay Happ. He spent some time with the Blue Jays. He started originally with the Philadelphia Phillies.
You're going to get a lot of fastballs from Jay Happ. He learned that if I start pounding the zone and keeping the ball down, I can jump ahead and I'll pitch to contact just a little bit more. He'll use that fastball 64% of the time. It's just 92 or 93. He'll mix in a curveball, slider, and a changeup, 12% each with one of those. You will get contact, and he will give up his share of base hits, but it clocked in last year, I thought, for Jay, when he started just saying, you know what, I'm tired of walking guys, I'm tired of having big pitch count innings, I'm just going to attack with my fastball and keep the ball down.
Chris Colabello, the first baseman, takes a first pitch ball. Colabello's got some fond memories of this ballpark. He hit a extra inning home run in the 13th inning in a 1-1 game while I was playing for Minnesota. That happened to be his first big league home run. He hit that off Yorvis Medina back in 2013. He had entered that ball game as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning. Said, Chris, go up and hit. You're the batter. It's a tie game. Who am I facing? King Felix.
And he said he was fine with that. He said he felt pretty confident and pretty good at the plate.
He ended up hitting into a double play in his first at bat. He was 0 for 2 when he stepped to the plate in the 13th and hit his first big league home run to deep center. Colabello for the season batting .321. Here's the 3-1. He had a good cut.
There's that fastball there. You can see Jay was nibbling there the first 3 pitches, and then said, you know what, I don't want to go out there and walk him. Here it is.
He wanted it inside. He missed badly, down and away, and Colabello will take the 1-out walk. Jay Happ got off to a good start here with the Mariners. His first 11 starts, he put up decent numbers, but it's been a different story over his last 7 outings.
ERA approaching 6. Opponent's batting average almost 300. Falling behind hitters has been the big problem. His opponent's average with runners in scoring position is 300. I think if he just keeps the ball down and throws it in the strike zone, he'll have his success.
Happ checking with his shortstop, makes sure who has coverage on the comebacker. Russell Martin had a terrific series in Oakland. He was 7 for 11, a couple of homers in that Oakland series. He's made some subtle adjustments at the plate that have really paid off.
Yeah, starting to think about the middle of the field just a little bit more, thinking about right field just a little bit more. There are the Russell Martin fans here in Seattle coming out. instead of rolling over the ball or trying to pull the ball, he's been thinking about staying inside the ball and shooting at the right field. I was talking to Brooke Jacoby about it yesterday. He says he's starting to remind me of Brandon Phillips. When Brandon Phillips from the Cincinnati Reds, Brooke worked with him with Cincinnati, he said he knows that whenever he needs hits, he can go up the middle or the other way. And I think that's the approach that Russell is starting to take.
Why is that such a good approach for hitters?
Well, you stay on the ball just a little bit longer. You're not flying open and you're not coming around the ball. A lot of times that Russell was doing, he was coming around the ball. Brooke called it his rollover rate was really high, meaning that he was getting on top of a lot of balls and swinging around the ball instead of through the ball. And when you keep that front shoulder closed, I think it shortens everything up and you go directly to the baseball.
And I think Jacoby has tried to remind Russell Martin how much power he has. Boy, there's some names from the past, eh? A lot of good Blue Jay fans going back to the big years of Blue Jays. Martin fights off that inside pitch. Now that's another thing that you have to be aware of. Okay, I might get beat from time to time inside, but all I got to do is spoil it, try to foul it off, try to put it in play somewhere, but do my damage on the outer part of the plate.
You were just talking about power. Russell's power is to right center field. For me, watching him, when his approach is good, he can knock the ball out of the ballpark in right field. On an inside pitch, though, all you have to do is just get a little bit more short. The barrel stays above the ball just a little bit quicker, and you'll pull the ball. You'll just react just a little bit quicker. Your hands become a little bit quicker.
Outside. Jay Happ wanted that strike. He thought it was on the outside corner. It's now a full count. Colabello at first, not a speedster by any means, but they might start to run her.
Just to stay out of the double play, there are the hits by direction, what we were talking about. You want those even up if you want to be a high batting average type of hitter.
Jay Happ's never had a great pickoff move, and Colabello picked up on that quickly. There he goes. Ball 4. Colabello was moving on the pitch, and it's back-to-back walks issued by Happ. The Blue Jays have something going here in the second.
That's what makes them so dangerous. They will take their walks, their share of walks, and they'll combine them with base hits to put up those big numbers. Colabello was very patient, and so was Russell taking that borderline pitch.
Danny Valencia now, the batter. Seattle has a 1-0 lead. It could have been a bigger lead had it not been for Hutchison doing a good job to minimize the impact of 3 straight base hits to start the game. Now the Blue Jays have Jay Happ on the ropes. Danny Valencia, a .314 hitter against lefty pitching. Jesus Sucre is catching Jay Happ. It seems as though they're having trouble getting on the same page. The everyday catcher is Mike Zunino, who caught last night, and now Happ wants to talk things over.
Well, you got a runner at second base now, so you got to go through a whole series of signs. So I just want to make sure they're giving the signs. Sucre goes very quickly through his signs. I'm not sure if Jay saw him.
Zunino, he has been behind the plate most of the season for the Mariners. Rick Waits is the pitching coach here, and he always likes to see his pitchers work quickly and get into a rhythm early in the ballgame. So now Happ is set. Valencia at the plate. You know, you talk about a pitcher getting into rhythm, and just the distraction of worried about what sequence of signs he's given, well, how fast he's given them, can be a distraction, and you forget about what your job is. trying to get the hitter out.
And Jay, watching him for a couple of years with Toronto, he is much better when he's working quickly, getting the ball, getting on the rubber and throwing. You can see he's walking around right now. He's not happy with the baseball. He's staring at a long time for those signs. When he would pitch his good games for the Blue Jays, just got on the mound and threw it.
Yeah. And you're right. He simplified things toward the end of his career in Toronto and used his fastball a lot. Now, Sucre, he wasn't even ready to give Happ a sign. Happ was on the rubber, and now he shakes off the first pitch, and now Sucre, he can't figure out what to do.
Valencia steps out. This is what we're talking about, all this waiting around.
There's a strike. Fastball on the inside corner. Back-to-back walks with one out. Columbella's at second. Russell Martin's at first.
Tell you, we have seen it in the past like that when there's a lot of pitches thrown. Conversations between the pitcher and catcher puts the infielders and the outfielders on their heels.
Puts them to sleep. And again, Happ steps off the rubber. Blue Jays last night 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. You can see Cano moving around. This takes the focus away when you're taking so long in between pitches. And again, Happ doesn't get the sign he wants. Lloyd McClendon can't be too pleased about this. Rick Waite's right behind him. So what in the world's going on out here? It's not that tough. Two balls, two strikes, one out. That's here. Fouls it straight back.
You know, your offense gets you a run in the first inning and went boom, 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 base hit, base hit, base hit. And Hutch did a good job of keeping it right there. What the Mariners wanted was Jay Happ to go out there and have a quick inning so his offense could come right back here against Drew Hutchison. A couple of walks and some long inning already, putting them back on their heels.
I think it is imperative for a team to have a good backup catcher that's a catch first guy. So when you give the regular catcher a day off, you don't miss a thing as far as your catcher pitcher relationship. He's got to be thinking about, how am I going to get Happ into this game? I'm going to give him signs quick. I'm going to get him working fast. I'm going to really get him into the game quickly. Valencia pulls it through the hole. That's a base hit. Colobella's coming around third. Here's the throw from Smith, and Colabella is safe. Danny Valencia has tied it up with his 29th ribby of the season.
And that's what I mean about putting people back on their heels. The reaction time from the infielders and the outfielders and the throw seems real lackadaisical, real slow. Probably because they've been sitting up there waiting for the pitcher to work a little bit quicker, throw some more strikes. Watch this. This is a 5-hopper through the left side of the infield. Neither the third baseman or shortstop could knock it down. Smith was a little bit late getting there. His throw was offline. Look at this. And that allows Colabella to make a good turn and tie the ball game up.
Colabella gets the wave from Louis Rivera. He hustles around third and slides in safely ahead of the throw. Danny Valencia has put up big numbers against the AL West this season. 364 average. And a home run in Oakland against Sonny Gray. First and second, one out, Kevin Pillar.
Well, you know the Blue Jays are going to score runs, especially against a left-hander. Their team batting average is almost 300 versus left-handers.
Their record against left-handed starters is just 13-10. You'd think it would be a little bit more lopsided, but boy, they put up big numbers as far as the batting average. This is popped up. That's going to go over the Mariners dugout. Well, this is where the Blue Jays really need to take advantage. It's been a long inning for Jay Happ. He walked two, now gave up a single to Valencia. You got to cash in.
Take advantage of it right here. And the bottom of this lineup has been doing it all season long for the Blue Jays.
Kevin Pillar has one hit in the series so far. That hit him. Had it on the shoulder, and that'll load the bases. It's an unusual reaction here in Seattle. An opposing hitter gets hit by a pitch, and the fans boo. But they're all Blue Jay fans.
Ball gets away from him, and Pillar does the right thing. Watch how he turns his back to the baseball. That's how you want to protect your body right there. That's perfect as he turns away from that inside fastball.
Devin Travis has hit 500 this season with the bases loaded. He's got a grand slam. Right now he'll take a base hit to right. Good numbers for the rookie.
Very good numbers. He is all over the leaderboards for rookies in the American League.
There's been a lot of talk about how Travis has impacted some of his older, more experienced teammates. And it's really interesting. I spoke to Brooke Jacoby about it, and he said it's his approach. He doesn't deviate. He doesn't fall in love with the pull side of the diamond. And as we talked about earlier with Russell Martin, when you think about the big part of the field, your timing doesn't have to be so exact.
Well, you track the ball just a little bit longer. You keep that front shoulder in, and that's going to keep that head down, keep it on the baseball, and you can power the ball into the outfield. That's something that I've been really surprised with, the amount of power, the type of power that Devin has. Look at this. What an at-bat.
Travis has 7 home runs, and by his own admission, he says, I'm not a home run hitter. But that last home run was a grand slam in Cleveland. That's the series in which he suffered that shoulder injury. 3-1, ball 4, bases loaded, walk. Jay Happ has walked 3 in this inning, and I got to tell you, it has to do with how slowly this inning has unfolded. He's walked 3, hit a batter, and given up a single. And it's been painfully slow. Bases remain loaded for Reyes. Here's what we're talking about. Kick the door wide open.
They're handing it to you. They're handing it to you by walking so many batters. And they hit a batter. Blue Jays only have 1 hit this inning.
And make him throw strikes. Vidal Nuno is loosening up for the Mariners. Right on the corner, Reyes didn't think so. Reyes bounces it foul outside of third. Golden opportunity for the Blue Jays here early. Reyes with a 1-2 count has 2 career grand slams.
Hey, the pressure is on the pitcher right now. You got to let him come to you. You don't want to help him out at all. He's got to come to you. He's feeling it right now. The pressure of all the walks and the fans fired up right now.
The frustration of not being on the same page with his catcher. Reyes chases that high fastball. He strikes out. That's the first strikeout for Happ.
That's exactly what I was talking about right there. The pressure's on Jay Happ to come to you. You can't help him out, and this ball is up and away, and Jose comes up empty. It's a big strikeout for Happ.
2 runs in the inning, much to the delight of the Blue Jay fans here at Safeco Field, but they'd like to see a couple more. Bases remain loaded. Valencia, Pilar, and Travis. Says, okay, tough pitch, I'll take it. Donaldson's put up big numbers with the bases loaded.
1 career grand slam. Now that he struck out Reyes, I thought he might go to the windup with 2 outs.
Foul.
You know, first inning, 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. He's out of the windup. Everything was working well. He got the first batter in this inning on another ground out, but then once he walked Colabelli, he had to go to the stretch. He's looked very uncomfortable, and it has really slowed him down. I thought once he struck out Reyes with 2 outs that he might go back to the windup, feel a little bit more comfortable.
Upstairs, Donaldson is as disciplined a hitter as the Blue Jays have. He gets an idea in his mind about what pitch he wants to hit, and he really locks in on it.
Oh, he has a game plan. We saw that last night when he took a ball right down the middle. He was looking for something else from Felix Hernandez. He's got that game plan, and he doesn't deviate from it.
Nice block by Sucre. Bautista is on deck. Bases loaded, 2 outs.
Well, he can't go to the windup now. 2 outs, 3 and 2. Runners are going to be off. You got to stay in the stretch.
Valencia's at third. Pilar's at second. Travis is at first. Blue Jays have taken a 2-1 lead here in the top of the second. .42 pitches this inning, and before we see 43, we're going to have a meeting. And this just kills a defensive team. Stand around, stand around. And Happ and Sucre have had trouble all inning long. 42 pitches in the inning.
Yeah. Blue Jays have what, 1 hit? I think they're going to have to go in between innings, go sit down next to each other and talk about this.
There go the runners. Ball 4. The second bases loaded walk of the inning, and that's going to be it. Lloyd McClendon pops out of the dugout. He's already made the call to the bullpen. Jay Happ has walked 4 and hit a batter this inning. Donaldson picks up the RBI on the bases loaded walk. Jay Happ, a disappointing start against his former team. Vidal Nuno, another left-hander, in to face Bautista. Bases are still loaded. AAA on the 9th of July. Jose Bautista will face Nuno. They have never faced each other. Nuno is in a tough spot. The most home runs in the American League since 2010. Jose Bautista is the leader of the pack.
And they've got the bases loaded, 2 outs. Nuno into the ballgame in the 2nd inning, and he gets to face the guy who's hit the most home runs since 2010. How about that? That is asking a lot from your reliever. Nuno doesn't throw that hard fastball breaking ball. And he's got to deal with Jose right here.
Nuno began his career with the New York Yankees in 2013. Bautista goes after the first pitch and fouls it into the camera bay.
You know, why not? Guy fresh into a ball game right there. You're guessing fastball. Why not? Try and hit an extra base hit.
Nuno is 27 years old. He's from National City, California. Bautista pops it straight back to my partner, Pat Tabler.
That was more to you.
But I was calling for you to catch it.
Yeah. I got it. You take it. I thought you had one there.
No, I didn't want one. It hit off the facing above our booth, thankfully. 0-2 to Bautista. Another foul back. Blue Jays have scored 3 runs here in the 2nd to take a 3-1 lead. "19 times this season they've had 5 runs in an inning. It won't be 20 just yet, but they take the lead. Nuno strikes out Bautista. The Blue Jays send 9 men to the plate. They score 3 runs with just 1 hit. Drew Hutchison with an early lead.
Fans that made the trip down to Seattle. And if you're at the game last night, if you're going tomorrow, take some pictures and tweet them. And always use the hashtag this weekend. Use Blue Jays in Seattle. We'd love to see your photos and hear your stories about heading out here to Seattle and watching the Toronto Blue Jays play. And, about talking to some of the new players on the Jays, they'd heard about this, but until they actually got to see it, they had no idea what they were dealing with, and they're all completely amazed.
Yeah, it's a special atmosphere, that's for sure. It's reminiscent of a playoff atmosphere. There's a buzz in the ballpark from the moment the gates open.
You and I got to meet some of the fans who were contact test winners and how they won, texting pictures and throwing up some pictures of them around the house and at the ballpark. Yeah,
it was great. And the theme of that contest was show us why you're the best Blue Jay fan. And the pictures were sent to Rogers. A great contest, and we got to meet some great fans. Chris Taylor gets to start at shortstop. Brad Miller was the shortstop in last night's game. Drew Hutchison was on the bench in the Blue Jays dugout for about 30 minutes. It was a long inning. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that long delay.
Well, 24 pitches in the first inning for Hutch, and he gave up just that one run after 3 straight hits. So going to need a quick one here.
That's a good start. Taylor with a defensive swing strikes out. 2 strikeouts for Hutchison.
Attack. It looked like Taylor was looking for the breaking ball, and Hutch throws him the fastball. You're right, that defensive swing, ball's right by him. He's thinking breaking ball, and Hutch throws him a fastball.
The catcher, Jesus Sucre, he goes after the first pitch and hits it high and deep to left. Lynch is back at the wall. This ball is gone. Sucre jumps on that first pitch and hits his first home run.
Coming into this game, he was hitting .036, no home runs, no RBIs. And he doesn't wait around. He gets the first pitch and hits the home run.
That's his first big league home run. Sucre from Venezuela. He is 27 years old, and he is realizing a lifetime dream. He hits a big league home run.
See him raise up for that ball, go up and get it. Keep that bat head above the ball. That is a long way. 376 to left center field, right over the wall and out.
Austin Jackson fouls it back. 0-2. Cano says, man, you were pointing and celebrating like you've hit 100 of them. Why not relish the moment? You remember your first home run?
Oh, yeah.
Did you celebrate and run around the bases and point at people?
No. It was in the first inning, I believe, or the second inning. And 3-run home run. Hey, put your head down and just run around the bases. Act like you've been there before, right?
You can see how happy Sucre is as he sees that ball sail over the wall. And his teammates are happy for him.
Yeah, that's always a thrill. Now you're in the books right there. They could never take that away from you. You've hit a big league home run. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Jackson strikes out swing. 3 strikeouts for Hutchison. Two and 0. Now 3-0. Drew Hutchison last pitched on the 17th of July. He went 6 innings. And here he loses Seager. Walk Seager with 2 outs. Second walk issued by Hutchison. Now he's got to deal with Nelson Cruz, and Cruz had a 3-hit game last night. He's got a hit already this afternoon. His 3-hit game last night, his 10th of the season. He's had 4 3-hit games in his last 12 games. Hutchison throws the breaking ball away.
Careful with that. He's accustomed to those 3-hit games, isn't he? He's a good hitter. He came into this game a 300 hitter in his career versus the Blue Jays.
For a power hitter, and he's certainly in that category, didn't take a strike. Generally, you see, well, Donaldson and Bautista are the complete opposite. They both have that exaggerated leg kick, but for Cruz, he stays anchored.
That's why he hits for a high average. Reminds me a little bit of Jeff Bagwell. Remember, Bagwell was spread out and he had no stride, just used his hands.
Bagwell had the most unusual stance I've ever seen. He had the wide start, and then he would bring his front foot back. Really unusual. 1-2. There goes Sucre. Cruz strikes out. Hutchison eventually strikes out the side, but he also gave up a home run and walked a batter. He still has a 3-2 lead as we head to the third.
By the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead as they will bat here in the third inning. Vidal Nuno came in to end the inning in the second. He was able to strike out Bautista with the bases loaded.
That's the value of having somebody like Felix Hernandez in your starting rotation, isn't it? You've got a fresh bullpen for today. They had to use a couple of relievers, but they're carrying 8. And it just so happens J Happ gets knocked out early. They got a lot of arms down there to work with today.
They sure do. And they have the ability to pitch well. They've got a decent bullpen. And some veterans down there and some younger arms.
I think the Blue Jays have the same kind of thing with R.A. Dickey and Mark Burley. Guys, you know they're going to give you innings and they're going to go deep.
Then strikes out in Encarnacion, 1 out. Let's check in with Hazel May. Thank you very much. And Stephen Wright's on the mound for the Red Sox against Alfredo Simon. And Boston got some bad news today. Put Dustin Pedroia on the disabled list. How about Xander Bogaerts? Is he having a season or what? The youngster's hitting third now. He's hitting over 300. He had the walk-off base hit last night for Boston. He's just 22.
Yeah.
Colabello chops it up the third base line. Nuno off the mound, and what a nice play by Morrison. Pat, you mentioned Morrison over to first. He's got good hands, and he saves an error for Nuno right there.
He leads Major League first basemen with a .999 fielding percentage. He's had one error in 821 total chances coming into last night's game, and here's the value of a good first baseman. Nuno plants and throws, but it's low, and it's dug out nicely by Morrison, saving a couple of bases if he doesn't come up with that ball. There you go. It's not about just catching the ball over there at first base. There's so many more things you have to deal with.
You will see first basemen get batted balls hit to them to replicate what that low throw will look like. See it all the time. Infield coaches will hit fungos to that first baseman.
You know what? You got to practice it too. It's a tough thing to go down there and dig out those low throws. Not every throw is the same.
Well, the Mariners do something that you don't see very often. They take infield practice every day. And we talked to the manager, Lloyd McClendon, about that, and also to Rich Stanley, the third base coach. Barton drops it down. Same time of play for Nuno. He makes a much better throw this time, and Nuno has retired 4 batters since coming into the game. Quick inning for the Mariners. Blue Jays baseball partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. They drove 2,239K for a Blue Jays honeymoon. Congratulations. And tell you what, you spend that much time in a car together on your honeymoon, it must be love.
Get to know each other, right? After all that time.
A lot of great stories. We hear it all the time from the fans. We got a chance to visit with them before the game. We have met fans today from New Brunswick, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Calgary, Victoria. A lot of fans from Toronto came out.
Newfoundland, Toronto. We saw some from Toronto.
Robinson Cano, he struck out. He was the first out of the ball game for the Mariners after Jackson, Seager, and Cruz all singled. Looked like it was going to be an early exit for Drew Hutchison, but he settled down and minimized the damage.
Gave up just that one run. That was on a sacrifice fly by Seth Smith.
Jesus Sucre hit a solo home run in the second. And we have a 3-2 game now with Seattle batting here in the third. Are you surprised that Robinson Cano hasn't continued to hit the way we saw him hit with the Yankees?
You figure the power numbers were going to go down just a little bit, right? Coming into this ballpark. Yankee Stadium is a great hitter's ballpark, especially for left-handed hitters. And Cano's a great hitter. So you figured the power numbers would come down just a little bit. What I'm surprised is the fastball. He just can't get to that fastball, the high one.
Evan Travis gets handcuffed. That ball hopped up on him and tied him up. It's an error on Travis. He got to it, but it took a tricky little hop right as he got himself in position to make the play.
Yeah, normally sure-handed. Watch, he just can't get his feet set. As the ball came up, rolled up his arm just a little bit. And unfortunately, the ball doesn't hit off of his chest and go right in front of him. He had to take a couple of steps to get over there to retrieve the ball. By that time, it was too late.
His 6th error of the season. Cano's aboard for Seth Smith. He had the sac fly in the first. Smith is interesting in that he played college football. And he played football behind Eli Manning. He was the backup quarterback in college for Eli Manning. And he never took a snap. Manning played every game.
Isn't that what you want to do?
Yeah, perfect. I'm a backup. Who'd you back up? Eli Manning.
I got to watch Eli Manning. I'm sure they went to some bowl games.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? You made the right decision.
He's had a nice career.
Baseball's a little bit easier on the body.
Smith behind 0-2. Upstairs. Smith came to the Mariners from San Diego for Brandon Mallard back on December 30th, 2014. He's bounced around, began his career with Colorado Rockies, spent some time in Oakland, last year in San Diego. Now he's here in Seattle. There's a base hit to right. Cano will stop at second. Bautista gets it back in quickly. An error and a base hit. Nobody out. Let's check in with Hazel May. Madison Bumgarner can really swing the bat. He's a big guy to begin with, but he can hit. Chris Bassett is his mound opponent, filling in that rotation after the Kazmir trade.
Didn't he take Clayton Kershaw deep earlier this year?
Yes. How about that?
Then I think he can hit.
This is Mark Trumbull. He walked his first time up. The air started the inning, and Seth Smith singled to right. This kind of got an ugly feeling about it. This game, the way it's going back and forth.
I got the same feelings right now. You got to really pitch.
Jumbo out in front. That's going to be a foul ball.
The error sets you back to start the inning, then the base hit. Now you got to really pitch to get through this one right here. You got the power in Trumbo, and you got a good hitter on deck in Morrison.
That's chopped off home plate. Donaldson will watch it bounce foul. Blue Jays trying to build some momentum in the second half. They took 2 of 3 from Oakland. They lost last night to the Mariners and Felix Hernandez. Hutchison pitching with a 1-run lead here in the third. Like to build on something. Blue Jays will have an off day on Monday after the series finale tomorrow. Then they have a long homestand, a 10-game homestand, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Minnesota.
Finishing up a very tough stretch. The Blue Jays tomorrow, 16 out of 19. We're on the road.
Fly ball deep to right. Bautista's got room. Cano tagging at second. Bautista will get it back in quickly. Cano advances to third. Smith stays at first. The double play still in order for Hutchison. Trumbo hit that ball in the same direction as his home run last night, but it's not carrying as well as it did last night.
Yeah, just didn't get all of it either. Same type of pitch that he homered in last night, but he sends it deep enough to right field where Cano can tag up and move to third.
Logan Morrison grounded out to the first baseman and ended the bottom of the first. Morrison is grounded into 6 double plays. Devin Travis at second base is thinking, hit it to me.
Yeah, let me make up for that error and help out my ball club. I was watching Josh Donaldson there in the shift, if you will, with Morrison at the plate, and Josh was trying to figure out who he was going to throw the ball to in case there was a ball that's hit to him. There he is right there saying, all right, who's got second base if the ball comes to me? And he said, okay, it's Jose Reyes. Jose's going to come from the shortstop position and be the player who's going to make the pivot just in case there's a ball hit to the third baseman.
Donaldson's always thinking of how he can help. In the game last night, he put on a pickoff play and was able to pick off Brad Miller, the runner at third. We saw him do that in Toronto, picked off Tim Beckham at third base.
Does that ever ignite a pitcher?
Ground ball. Travis will go to second. They'll get one. The return throw, not in time. The ball was hit to Travis's glove side. It took him a long way to his left. It really wasn't a routine double play ball. A fielder's choice, and that will tie it up.
Yeah, not at all. And that's the advantage of tagging up on that fly ball. Cano, the throw from Travis is a little off target to Jose Reyes, and Jose just can't get enough on that throw. His footwork around the bag, you can see as the runner's coming in, he has to shift inside. And then he can't plant and throw. He's got to throw it off of his back foot and just doesn't get enough on it.
And there goes Morrison. Martin with a quick throw. And the ball pops out of Travis's glove. It looked like Travis tagged Morrison before Morrison got to second, but the ball was knocked loose.
Yeah, it looked like Sam Holbrook, the umpire, was waiting and he was ready to bang him out right there, call him out. Little surprise by the Mariners as he takes off. Here's the throw one more time. He would have been out if he was able to hold on to that baseball. Catches, puts the tag on, and just gets knocked out when it hits his helmet.
6 stolen base for Morrison. He is 6 for 8 this season. He's in scoring position for Chris Taylor. Taylor struck out his first time up. Hutchison has thrown 59 pitches with 2 outs in the third. And John Gibbons concerned about Hutchison's stamina. Bautista over near the foul line in foul ground, and the inning is over. But Seattle has scored a run in each of the first 3 innings. They tied up 3-3, taking advantage of the air.
Rogers contest winners. We all had a chance to meet them before the game, and you could be like them maybe at some point. And it looks like if you're a Rogers Share Everything customer traveling to the U.S., you can definitely share your experience and stay connected with Roam Like Home for $5 a day. Visit Rogers.com/Roam Like Home for details. And all these fans roamed like home, and they won this weekend here in Seattle.
Yeah, we got a chance to meet those folks. That gentleman in the white shirt with his blonde wife, they're from New Brunswick. And they were really excited to be here. We talked to them about their travel and how much they enjoyed it. And they all submitted pictures of their Blue Jay memorabilia, their books, and how they become big Blue Jay fans. Quite a thrill for them.
Buck, how about the pictures you and I saw from the late 80s and the early 90s?
Well, let's see. It pops it up on the first pitch. Robinson Cano, the second baseman, makes the catch. There was a gentleman there that has been a fan, and we got a chance to meet all of these contest winners. That gentleman in the red jersey right there, he's been a fan since he was a child, and he had pictures of Pat and I with him 9-10 years old.
Yeah. And I was like, well, if that's you now, what does that make us? Oh, he was just a little bitty kid.
Yeah, he was probably 8 or 9 the first time he saw. I think he saw you in London.
In London, on the Blue Jays Caravan.
I was doing a baseball clinic, and he was participating in the clinic. But I complimented him for keeping those pictures. He had them all on his phone, and he showed us all the pictures. And
he even had a picture of Jerry Howard.
He did, and Jerry looked like a college professor. He had a sport coat on, had a nice old sweater on with a tie.
You know, he still has that sweater, too. I think he was wearing it yesterday.
The same one?
The same one from the 80s.
Now, it was fun. They were all nice people. They were all great Blue Jay fans, and it was a great contest. Kevin Pillar fights it off inside.
You know, that contest, I hope they keep doing that every year. What a great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea. It's a contest that involves sending a picture of why you're the best Blue Jay fan. And you can see they're all experts because they're all on Twitter right now. Not watching the ball game. Hey, look up. You got a contest. You got a great seat. You're missing a good ball game.
I hope they do that every year because I think it's a great idea and it really gets the fans involved and they get to come out and see the Jays. They got a meet and greet down on the field.
Again, we have said all weekend long what a great showing the Blue Jays fans have here in Seattle. And Pillar will take the ball forward. That's the first base runner to reach against Nuno. Vidal Nuno came into the game with 2 outs in the second in relief of Jay Happ. Blue Jays have taken 5 walks, and we say hi to you fans as well. It's great to have you here.
Boy, they might want to push it right here. Blue Jays try and do something here against Nuno. He's thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Play hit and run. Pillar, of course, can run. Kevin was hit by a pitch his first time up. He's walked now. Devin Travis walked with the bases loaded in the second.
You just can't lay back. I think you got to try and make something happen.
There's a base hit. That'll make something happen. Pillar will stop at second, and that turns the lineup over. Pillar and Travis had been on base all 4 times they've come to the plate so far this afternoon.
They make it happen. He was really paying attention to Pillar a lot, so he threw a fastball right down the middle. You can see that nice swing by Travis. Full extension, head down. See the bat make contact with the ball.
Boy, I tell you, the beauty of slow motion video, and you can see everything a hitter does, how he's getting the barrel to that baseball. And you know, you hear the phrase, keep your hands inside the baseball. When you see it from that angle, you can understand what they mean.
That's exactly what they mean. Basically, your hands stay between you and the ball.
Reyes is 0 for 2 so far. Jose against the lefty pitching this season, batting .254 compared to .297 against the righties. Ball to strike. Blue Jays have just 2 hits today. Valencia with a base hit to left. Same for Devin Travis. 2 singles. That's it.
Take advantage of the walks and hit batters. They've had in the first 4 innings, the Blue Jays, they've gone down 1-2-3 twice. Yet this is the 3rd time Jose Reyes is hitting already here in the 4th inning.
They sent 9 men to the plate in the 2nd.
Take advantage of those walks. Take advantage of the hit batters. Combine those with hits. That's how you score so many runs.
I don't think the Blue Jays are going to run in this situation. They're the top of the order. You don't want to give away outs. Pitcher's in a jam trying to work his way through the top part of this lineup. High fly down the left side. Again, the Blue Jays haven't been able to kick the door wide open. They have had it cracked ajar, but they haven't cashed in.
Seems like that's been like that on this whole road trip. They had Sonny Gray on the ropes and just couldn't kick the door down.
There's a line drive to left, and Pilar is going to be doubled up. Wow, another big base running mistake by a guy that doesn't make many mistakes. Kevin Pilar off on contact. Thought the ball was going to get down in front of Smith. It ends up in an inning-ending double play.
Because young Roan here is only 6 years old, had a very special moment. You had your leg signed by Edwin Encarnacion, and then he took it to the entire clubhouse. How exciting is that for you?
Pretty good.
Now let's talk to Dad Neil. Neil, your family is all here. You're all big Blue Jays fans. What did that mean to you for Edwin to do that for your son and your family?
Oh, it was fantastic. All the kids are huge Blue Jays fans. He just got this new leg built, and he couldn't decide what to do, and Blue Jays was what he really wanted to do, and yeah, it's worked out fantastic. What a great organization, and he really excited. It was just fantastic.
We got to get Mom in here for a second too. What does that mean to you? How nice is that when a professional player like that goes out of his way to do something like that for your family?
I think it's fantastic because he really didn't need to do that, and it means the world to our son, Roan. There's lots of stuff he does great for having one leg, but stuff like this really knocks it out of the park for him. So we're really happy they took the time to do that.
Roan, do you want to say thank you to the Blue Jays?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, there you go, Buck. That is the Heck family from Stettler, Alberta.
Now, what a great opportunity for them, and congratulations to the family, and also congratulations to Edwin Encarnacion and the rest of the Blue Jays for taking the time to make the kid very happy. Very special moment for a youngster. Ground ball to Reyes. Sucre, the catcher, is thrown out. Sucre's had a very interesting afternoon. He had a tough second inning catching with Jay Happ. He and Happ did not get on the same page at all. And then in the bottom of the second, he had his first big league home run.
And he got an earful from Lloyd McClendon before he went up there, talking about, hey, let's mix it up a little, work a little bit quicker, get your pitcher into a better rhythm. And he helped out with his first big league homer.
Now it's a 3-3 ball game. We're in the bottom of the fourth. Back to the top of the order, Austin Jackson. Upstairs, 1-2. Breaking ball pulled to third. Donaldson throws out Jackson. 2 ground ball outs here in the fourth. So Drew Hutchison trying to get through the fourth inning. Blue Jays bullpen was up earlier throwing. Now he has settled in, and I wouldn't expect they would really look for a lengthy outing from Hutchison, given the fact he's been sick.
They had Hendricks up last inning after that long third inning. But you're right. A lot of pitches. If you can have a quick one here and then maybe squeeze one more inning, 5, that might be all that they can get this afternoon from Drew.
It was imperative that he started this afternoon. Blue Jays didn't have any other options. Mark Burley, the scheduled starter tomorrow, will be on his normal rest. He opened up the series in Oakland on Tuesday night. There's a good changeup.
When he's got movement on that pitch, that's when it's most effective. That time it had good speed and good movement. Seager got that hitting streak up to 10 games in the first inning with that single off of Hutchison. That time he fooled him with the changeup.
Seager made his first All-Star team last year. He was actually placed on the team as a replacement for Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin couldn't make because of injury. Edwin had that quad muscle injury in Oakland last year. First week of July. Seager also won the Gold Glove. And before too long, you're going to hear of another Seager in the big leagues. His young brother, Corey Seager, tearing it up with the Dodgers AAA team.
Tearing it up. He's one of the finest young hitters in all of baseball. There's a little Blue Jay connection there, too.
Eric Owens, the assistant hitting coach for Brooke Jacoby, coached Seager, Corey that is, in the minor leagues. And he sings his praises. Owens said Corey Seager's better than any of the young hitters in the major leagues right now. That's high praise.
Or any of the young players that he has coached, and he included Mike Trout in that conversation. He says he has much talent as Mike Trout, maybe even more as a hitter.
Pretty high praise.
It's a lot of pressure, isn't it, to put on a young hitter?
I think good people, good players like pressure.
Yeah. Eric coached Mark Trumbo when he was with the Angels organization. We mentioned Trout. He also had Puig in Los Angeles. And now Corey Seager, who is in AAA with the Dodgers, and I'm sure everybody's asking for him in trade talks.
Seager gets a base hit after an extended at bat.
starting to heat up. 2 for 2 this afternoon. Get on top of that high fastball. He fouled a couple of them off. That time he stays back behind. He's able to get on top. See how he kept his hands up high to get through that ball on the high fastball?
Well, Sucre has had a perfect start to his afternoon. 2 singles and a walk. Nelson Cruz 1 for 2. He struck out to end the second. Gets a piece of it, fouls it straight back. Ball on the strike to Cruz. Cruz is the DH this afternoon, and that's a little bit somewhat in the Blue Jays' favor. As a DH this season, this is his 42nd game at DH. He's hit .248.
He's only hit 5 home runs as a DH, 19 of them as an outfielder. So I'm with you on that.
And hit him. Hutchison trying to come up and in, and may have hit him on the elbow pad. Kevin Pillar was hit by a pitch from Jay Happ in the second. Very similar type of hit by pitch, and that's why those hitters wear that elbow pad.
For that reason right there, Cruz starts with an open stance and really closes up and dives into the ball. That time that fastball up and away backed him off the plate. Tried to pull his hands in, and he was protected by that elbow pad. Now he's got to deal with Cano.
Liam Hendricks for a second time this afternoon, loosening up. Cano scored the 3rd Mariners run this afternoon after he reached base on a Devin Travis error in the 3rd. He scored on the fielder's choice by Logan Morrison. High deep drive to left. Danny Valencia back at the wall. This ball is gone. Robinson Cano, an opposite field 3-run home run. His 10th homer of the season. We had talked about Cano heating up since they dropped him into the cleanup spot. It's also been a fact that he's gone the other way. And things are starting to turn around for Cano.
That's right. Just like we were talking about Russell Martin staying through the ball on pitches away, that's what Robinson Cano's been doing with the help of the man he just hugged right there at the top of the step. Their hitting coach, Edgar Martinez. Watch how he stays behind it. The hands come through, and then the bat. Instead of rolling around that pitch and trying to pull that ball, he stays on it and through it. And gets it just out of the reach of Danny Valencia, who tries to climb the wall and take it back. Big 3-run home run by Cano has now put the Mariners in the lead.
Seth Smith, the left fielder. Cano's home run, his 10th of the season. 3 RBIs gives him 41. The numbers are off by comparison to Cano's career, but they're headed in the right direction. Seth Smith drove in the first. Mariner runs with a sac fly in the first. This is up the middle, but Reyes was playing Smith to pull. The inning is over, but Drew Hutchison has given up runs in each of the first 4 innings, and he falls behind 6-3. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Hazel May and Greg Zahn.
regular season game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and much more. It also includes a free At-Bat 15 subscription. Watch baseball at home, at the office, or on the go. Season-long subscription packages are available. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. And on Premium, you can see that Ben Zobrist is having quite a day for the Oakland A's. He is a home run away from the cycle, guys, and it's only the 5th inning.
Ben Zobrist, a target for many teams at the trade deadline. You can count on that. And don't be surprised if Ben Zobrist doesn't end up in New York with the Yankees.
Boy, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Also makes a lot of sense to go to Chicago.
Donaldson rips it down the left field line. He's hustling down the line, going to make the turn, and he'll end up at second base with a leadoff double. Blue Jays got to respond quickly after giving up 3 runs in the bottom of the 4th.
I think they will. They're at the right spot of this lineup. They have been knocking on the door, I think, all afternoon long. A good start here as Donaldson rips that ball from Nunez, gets out there and hooks it down into the corner in left field. No chance for Sucre to get that one.
Jose Bautista was the first batter Nuno faced when he entered the ball game in the second, and Bautista struck out on a high fastball. Whoa, he had a good rip and just pulls it foul into the seats. Bautista has a 15-game hit streak here at Safeco Field. He has yet to get a hit. He has yet to reach base. Now he gets a liner to right. Trumbo comes in and makes a catch. Boy, he hit it hard to a good spot in right, but Trumbo was there.
It just hung up there a little bit too long. Trumbo got a nice break on that ball and stayed with it. Home run last night by Bautista kept that consecutive game streak alive for the Blue Jays, hitting a home run.
7 straight games the Blue Jays have homered in. They've hit a total of 12 home runs over those 7 games.
They need another one right here. Get right back in this game.
Edwin Encarnacion, he's got 19 home runs this season. Ball on the strike. Once again, we must congratulate Encarnacion as you look at Tom Wilhelmsen. Big right-hander loosening up for Seattle. Encarnacion is the one that started signing that young man's prosthetic leg the day before this game. And he took it in the clubhouse and had all the other teammates sign it. That's quite a gesture.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. He was able to stop and talk to some of the fans. Saw a lot of the Blue Jays today stop before batting practice out on the field and go down the left field line and talk to a lot of the fans and sign things and take pictures.
Bouncing ball, bounced foul by Encarnacion. Yeah, I think the Blue Jay players even get caught up in the atmosphere out here when they see so many Blue Jay fans so anxious to say hello. A lot of the players were down there. R.A. Dickey, Deanna Navarro came out and made a special effort to sign autographs and say hello to a lot of fans. Fans of all ages, youngsters, grown-ups, grandparents. He signed a lot of things, and a grandfather say, "You just made my grandkid really happy." It's really an awesome atmosphere. And the fans are having a good time. Lots of good eats here in Seattle at Safeco Field.
Even you and I got to sign some autographs today, huh? What's up with that? That must have been the grandparents.
It was the grandparents. Yep.
They saw us play.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Donaldson at second base. The Blue Jays trail 6-3. Vigneault's done a nice job since coming into this ball game. Colabella was on deck. Wilhelmsen should be ready down in the Mariners bullpen.
Yeah, this is about his limit right here. One time through the lineup right here to see if you can get through that when you're a long man.
Hutchison is the 11th batter Nuno has faced this afternoon.
Big pitch right here.
Pops straight back over home. And that's going to reach the seats out of play. We'll do it again. It's a 3-2 pitch. Hutchison got a piece of it. Fouls it straight back off the backstop. Another extended at bat for a Blue Jay hitter. And has generally resulted in an impact at bat.
Because they see every pitch he has to offer. The timing gets just a little bit better.
Close, but off the plate, the inside. Lloyd McClendon has popped out of the dugout. They're going to make a pitching change. He's already made the call for Tom Wilhelmsen. The Blue Jays have 2 aboard. The tying runs at the plate. McClendon wants the big right-hander Wilhelmsen. He'll face Colabello when we come back to Seattle. He's walked 2 and struck out 9. Jake Arrieta was knocked out of the ball game. Arrieta has been charged with 3 earned runs on 6 hits. He struck out 8, but he's out of the ball game. Tom Wilhelmsen into the ball game, his 26th appearance of the season. He's formerly the closer for the Mariners. They got a deep bullpen.
They got a deep bullpen. A lot of one-inning guys who throw very hard and can be closers. Wilhelmsen, you mentioned it, was the former closer for this team. He throws fastball right over the top and a very good breaking ball. He's got a very clean delivery. Working on a circle changeup. He's into this ball game now after the walk to Encarnacion. Colabello represents the tying run, so you got to bring in Wilhelmsen now. I'm sure they're thinking about Wilhelmsen at the back end of this game, but sometimes you need him here in the middle innings.
Sometimes these saves occur in the middle innings. Colabello is a notorious first pitch swinger. He's hit .610 on the first pitch this season. Goes after the first pitch and fouls it back. He has 25 hits on the first pitch. That's tied for the 7th most in the majors. He only has 41 at bats in those situations.
It's a perfect time to jump on that first pitch. You've got runners on base. You've got a new reliever into the ball game. You know he's going to challenge you with that fastball first pitch, so why not?
C.J. Cron of the Angels is hitting .661 on the first pitch. He's 12 for 18. You zero in on a good pitch to hit, you don't miss it. 0-1. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Colabello has hit 4 home runs against the Mariners, including his first big league home run. Colabello had a 2-run home run earlier this season off Fernando Rodney. It came in the 9th inning, a 2-run shot. The Blue Jays fell short. They lost 4-3 to Felix Hernandez in that May game. There's that good curveball. That's the bread and butter pitch for Wilhelmsen. When he gets 2 strikes, he'll drop that big bender on him.
Signature pitch of Wilhelmsen there. His numbers inherited runners scoring this season.
Not very good. 13 of 16 have come in to score when Wilhelmsen inherits base runners. Colabello drives it to right. That's slicing and will reach the seats. Colabello went back to get some pine tar on his bat, and that led to a meeting on the mound by the Mariners. Catcher ran out to the mound. Cano runs in from second.
And when you see the middle infielders join that conversation, what does that normally mean?
Well, they wanted to switch signs.
That's right. Making sure that the signs given by the catcher, the pitcher, the middle infielders can see it so they can alert the guys on the corner, third baseman and the first baseman, what sign they're going to be using.
Cutter off the plate outside. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. When you have a veteran like Josh Donaldson at second base, you're always aware that he might be looking for location or sequence of signs, trying to relay information to the hitter at the plate.
Yeah, even those guys out there at second base, they might pick up something that Sucre is doing, that maybe he's moving a little bit too quickly and setting up his spot behind the plate, and you can give away location.
Full count. Colabello laid off some tough breaking pitches. Martin's on deck. Blue Jays trying to claw their way back into it. Donaldson with the leadoff doubles at second, and Encarnacion with a 1-out walk. He's at first. Again, Sucre taking a long time to get to the right pitch. Tapper back to the mound. Wilhelmsen throws to Cano, and he dropped the ball. He was taking it out of his glove in an effort to complete the double play. The Mariners have turned 97 double plays this season, and Cano is responsible for a lot of them.
That should have been one right there. It looked like they got their signals crossing who was going to catch at second base. You can see the shortstop and Cano are there. And in his haste to transfer that ball, he still had plenty of time. He's got a strong arm. He was going to try and make that play, but dropped the ball instead. Clearly caught it for the force out at second base. And it keeps the inning alive now. Let's see if the Blue Jays can take advantage of it.
Well, Russell Martin at the plate with 2 outs. Cano just couldn't come up with that ball to throw it to first, and the Blue Jays have an opportunity. Jays trail by 3. Big breaking curveball. Martin, and you could see on pitch track, looked like the ball was down, and that's the way Russell saw it.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with that first call.
Wilhelmsen's a tough customer. He's tall, about 6'5". He creates a very dramatic angle. Tough to square up his pitches.
And he throws hard enough where you got to get it started early. Making it tough to deal with that pitch right there. The overhand curveball.
One and two to Martin. And a curveball, and Martin strikes out. Having a discussion with Jim Joyce about the strike zone. Blue Jays strand a pair, still trail by 3.
August long weekend on the Monday. It is Russell Martin bobblehead day. First 20,000 fans at Rogers Center to see the Blue Jays and the Royals at 107 will receive one of these very authentic looking Russell Martin bobblehead dolls. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets. Buck?
Should be a great homestand. 10 games on the homestand, and Monday, August 3rd, you'll be able to pick up a Russell Martin bobblehead doll. New pitcher into the ball game for the Blue Jays is the right-hander Liam Hendricks.
And right now, he is going to be working as the quote long man out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays. With the changes that they made today, there are Liam's numbers in 32 games this year. 2-0 with a .290 earned run average. He last worked 3 days ago in Oakland. He threw an inning and a third, had a strikeout, no hits and no runs against the A's in that appearance.
In case you're just joining us, Aaron Sanchez has been added to the Blue Jays 25-man roster. John Gibbons told us that Sanchez will pitch in this game today. He's been idled for a while. Steve Delabar was sent back to the minor leagues to free up a spot on the 25-man roster.
Gibby was saying easing him in maybe the 7th inning.
Oh, what a nice play by Donaldson. He took a hot shot to his glove side, spun around and throws out Mark Trumbo.
Do something to help the team. Anything that you can do this time. He's going to start this inning by making a fine play. This ball looked like it was heading to left field. Keeps that glove down, picks the ball and gets the first out. Watch this ball start to come up on him. Stays right with it. That's why you have to be quick if you're going to play third base.
He's a good player. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He wants to be in the action. Hit it to me. Let me be at the plate with the game on the line. You love that kind of mindset.
Did something to help him win the other day by blocking that runner off of third base. He's had a couple of pickoffs on this road trip.
Logan Morrison has an RBI this afternoon. Drew Hutchison goes 4 innings in his return to the rotation after missing 2 days because of a viral infection. He goes 4 innings, gives up 6 runs on 7 hits. 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Hutchison's ERA at 5.42 after this start today. One and 2 to Logan Morrison. Liam Hendricks anxious to put up some zeros here this afternoon. Morrison swings and misses at that breaking ball. Martin completes the strikeout. 2 down.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Seattle, Washington, home of the Space Needle, home of the Seattle Mariners. And the Mariners playing in a beautiful ballpark here. Safeco Field. Chris Taylor drives it deep to right center. Pilar on the warning track right in front of the 380 sign, runs it down. Pilar has had a good season defensively. Hendricks has a 1-2-3 5th inning. Will go to the 6th. Danny Valencia will lead things off.
Jamaica takes on Mexico. The game goes tomorrow on Sportsnet World and Sportsnet 360. You can watch it at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry. That's great soccer action as they have the CONCACAF Cup final. Danny Valencia will lead things off for the Blue Jays here in the 6th. Valencia, Pilar, and Travis. Danny Valencia, Kevin Pilar, and Devin Travis have reached base 5 of the 6 plate appearances they've had here today. Valencia has a single. Pilar has been hit by a pitch and walked, and Travis has walked and singled. Third pitcher of the afternoon for Seattle, Tom Wilhelmsen. He struck out Russell Martin on a curveball to end the 5th. .96, but upstairs.
But you concentrate so hard on trying to get through the Blue Jays' top of the order and then the middle of the order. It's almost like pitchers take a deep breath and then forget they got to deal with these guys. And the bottom of the lineup has been great.
This is playable for Logan Morrison into foul territory. One down. Kevin Pillar, in his first opportunity to play every day, got off to a slow start April and May, 223 average. But look at his numbers in June and July. Across the board, everything has improved for Pillar.
And it started the first part of June when he made a technical change to his swing, tried to eliminate that leg kick. That the timing was really messing him up. He wasn't getting that front foot down. He's hitting the ball a lot better, a 331 average over the last 2 months. I think the home run he hit against Max Scherzer in Washington went a long way in building his confidence.
And that's when the transition began, was in Washington. Trying to get that foot on the ground. It's a bouncing ball. 2 hops to the shortstop. Taylor to Morrison, 2 down. Well, the man that orchestrated that move initially was Eric Owens, the assistant hitting coach. He said, we got to get you anchored. We got to get you on the ground. Eric Owens has a connection to this ballpark. He got the first base hit in this ballpark in 1999. They opened up mid-season. Owens was playing for the Padres, and he got the start against Jamie Moyer. Got a 1-out base hit in the first.
I was asking him about that today. He said it was interleague play. It was in the middle of the season because they played half the season at the Kingdome and then moved over here when it was opening up. Pretty neat. First hit in this ballpark. It's a great ballpark, isn't it?
One of the best. Devin Travis hits it past Seager into left field. Travis makes a big turn. Here's the throw to second. It's offline. Travis can go to third. Morrison didn't back up the play until too late. Trumbo, the right fielder, could come in and back up that play and also prevent Travis from going to third. But Seth Smith will be charged with an error because the defense didn't fill out their assignments.
As a first baseman, the first thing that happens when a ball is hit down the line like that, you get out of the way and you make sure the runner touches first base. Then you get behind him. And in case there's a play that gets away from second base, as Seth Smith comes over and uncorks a wide one, you're there as the backup man. You're right. The right fielder should do the same thing. Gives the Blue Jays an extra 90 feet.
Jose Reyes batting left-handed for the first time this afternoon. Reyes 0 for 3 as a right-handed hitter. But Lloyd McClendon and his coaching staff, they have emphasized defense, and they practice every day. And they were practicing backing up plays. He won't be pleased about the way this game has gone for the Mariners, despite the fact they have a 3-run lead.
They were one of the best fielding teams in baseball last season. In terms of fielding percentage, this year they start this game tied for 3rd in the American League in fielding percentage. But that's something that shouldn't happen, that type of error right there, simply because you just have to have everybody in the right spots. Smith was being aggressive trying to make a play at second base. Throw is offline. If it's backed up, he's not going to get charged with an error.
His first error of the season. Might have been off the plate outside, but the call goes against Reyes. It's 2 balls and a strike. There is a place for everybody to be on the baseball field, on every play. Travis with the double went to third on the air. Devin is perfect, 2 for 2 with a bases loaded walk. Reyes has done a terrific job of cashing in base runners with 2 outs. Coming into this game, 367 with runners in scoring position and 2 outs.
Stays aggressive. And from the left side, he is real aggressive. Good low ball hitter.
Popped back over the screen, out of play. Got a hanging breaking ball. Reyes protects that outside corner. Ball is driven to right. Trumbo is not going to get this one. It's over his head, up against the wall. Travis comes in to score. Reyes delivers another 2-out RBI. Oh, what a good at bat for Jose Reyes.
Fouled off some really tough pitches from Wilhelmsen, and then they went breaking ball. Told you he's a good low ball hitter, and that's right where that ball ended up. Down, and he just hammered that ball to right field. 2-out Lightning by the Blue Jays. Double, and then another double by Reyes as he gets all of that one. Blue Jays right in this.
Wilhelmsen still on the ropes. Donaldson doubled his last time up. 3 doubles in the last 2 innings for the Blue Jays. Donaldson is 1 for 2. He had a bases loaded walk in the second. Breaking ball bends around the corner. You would expect numbers like that for Donaldson. He's always been a good run producer. Not close. Breaking ball. Now it's 3-0. Bautista is on deck.
You're just asking for trouble. Putting Donaldson on and bringing Bautista to the plate.
Brett Cecil beginning to loosen up for the Blue Jays. Three and 0. They had the green light. Donaldson has 50 of his 66 RBIs against right-handed pitching. So he doesn't yield against tough righties like Wilhelmsen.
Yeah, he's had 1 hit against him. That's been a home run. So I agree with that. 3-0. Let him swing away.
This is popped up and back out of play. Full count now, 2 outs. Reyes at second base. He picked up the RBI double. It's a 6-4 ball game. We're in the top of the 6th. Bautista would love to hit this inning. Inside pitch fouled off.
He was on that one too. High heater right there.
Reyes is RBI number 34 on the season for the Blue Jays shortstop. A breaking ball. Donaldson strikes out. The Blue Jays inch a run closer to the Seattle Mariners. Reyes with a 2-out RBI double. 6-4 Seattle.
this weekend, and now's your chance to meet them in Toronto away from the ballpark. Thursday, July 30th from noon to 1. Both gentlemen will be at the Jays shop at Toronto Eaton Center. No lineups prior to 10 o'clock, one autograph per person, and no posed photos. Chris Colabello, Roberto Osuna, two very, very good men that you will enjoy getting a chance to meet. Buck?
Great opportunity to say hi to a couple of Blue Jays players. That'll take place in Toronto. Interesting ball game now. Reyes makes it a 2-run deficit with his RBI double. It'll be 9-1-2 for the Mariners in their half of the sixth. Jesus Sucre at his first major league home run in the second. Liam Hendricks retired the side in order. He entered the game to start the fifth. Had a ground out, a strikeout, and a flyout.
A couple of nice plays by the Blue Jays that inning. One by Donaldson and one by Pilar, showing great range in center field.
Good breaking ball. Down and away. Hendricks has done a nice job making the transition from starter to reliever.
It's always been a strike thrower, and that's the important part about coming out of the bullpen. You have to be able to throw strikes, command those pitches. What's been impressive with Liam is throwing a lot harder.
That will happen from time to time when you have a starter move to the bullpen, recognizing his innings are going to be reduced in his outings, so he feels like he can empty the tank a little bit more. That's a pretty good pitch right at the bottom of the zone at 97.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Russell Martin wanted that pitch, didn't get the call against Austin Jackson. Jackson is 1 for 3. And a single and scored a run in the first. Blue Jays had a base running mistake in the fourth inning. Kevin Pillar, running from second base, forgot how many outs there were, took off and was doubled up easily as Seth Smith made the catch and threw to second. Blue Jays don't make an awful lot of base running mistakes, especially Kevin Pillar.
Yeah, very cerebral out there. I wonder if he thought that ball was going to fall in. I mean, it was a line drive to left field. Maybe he read base hit. Did it hung up there?
It's a little looper into left field. Danny Valencia on the run makes a nice running catch. 2 down. Let's check in with Hazel May. He has 2 walks and struck out 12. Hamels was thrown 112 pitches. Pretty efficient with 12 strikeouts. So he will go to the mound in the ninth looking for the no-hitter. Hamels hasn't been very good lately. In his last 2 starts, he's pitched a total of 6 1/3, and he's given up 20 hits.
Plenty of rest. He's okay now. Last no-hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies, Roy Halladay. Remember that in the playoffs against the Reds?
Awful lot of pitchers working today that have been talked about as trade targets. Johnny Cueto is pitching tonight in Colorado against the Rockies. Ian Kennedy for the Padres pitches tonight in San Diego against Miami, and Giovanni Gallardo is in Anaheim for the Rangers going up against the Angels.
All names that we have heard as we get closer to that trade deadline.
There's been a lot of talk about the Cleveland Indians trading pitchers. Chris Antonetti, the GM, said, why would we trade any of our pitchers? They're young, they're under control, we have them signed. And that's how you build a ball club, with good starting pitching. So it makes no sense.
Not at all.
But you know what? All the experts throw up all the stuff on the wall and try to make something stick. One hopper right to Travis. Sucre grounds out. Another good inning. 6 up, 6 down for Liam Hendricks. Yankees and Twins will play game 2 of their 3-game series. It all starts tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific time. Last night, the Twins behind Phil Hughes beat the Yankees 10-1. It was Minnesota's largest margin of victory over the Yankees in nearly 24 years. So make sure you check in on that. Twins Yankees coming up after this game. Blue Jays in the 7th will send Bautista, Encarnacion, and Colabello to the plate. Jose is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Breaking ball, ball 2.
He's throwing a lot of pitches. Wilhelmsen, not really a multi-inning type of guy. He's trying to work through the lineup one time for Lloyd McClendon. We saw Nuno do that. And now he's trying to get Wilhelmsen through this inning.
Two balls and a strike. Bautista riding a 15-game hit streak against the Mariners in Safeco Field. Pops this one up. Shallow center. Austin Jackson comes in. One down. Mariners bullpen doing a good job so far this afternoon. Vidal Nuno goes 2 2/3. He didn't allow a run on 2 hits, walked 2, and struck out 2. Wilhelmsen with a 2-inning outing to this point. He got the final 2 outs of the 5th. Gave up a run in the 6th and has an out here. There you see Fernando Rodney. And if you're looking at your scorecard saying, why is Rodney pitching here early? He's not the closer anymore. Carson Smith has taken over that role.
Really not even the setup man right now. Mark Lowe is the 8th inning guy. So Rodney is up in case Wilhelmsen cannot finish off this inning.
Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin 0 for 2 with a walk. Line to Seager to the glove side. Encarnacion hits it hard.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Blue Jay fans need something to cheer about. They're down by 2. Chris Colabello looking for his first hit of the afternoon. Blue Jays only have 5 hits. Backhanded at short. Long throw in time. Bullpen doing a good job for Seattle. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. The Mariners have a 2-run lead. Brett Cecil in the game to face Nelson. Liam Hendricks has 2 clean innings, and he'll turn things over now to left-hander Brett Cecil, pitching in his 36th game of the season.
6 up, 6 downs for Liam Hendricks. A couple of strikeouts. He'll give way now to Brett Cecil. A couple of lefties coming up this inning scheduled for the Seattle Mariners. So Brett Cecil comes into the game. He's 2-4 with a .431 earned run average. He's averaging over a strikeout per inning. Good fastball, and that hard, sharp breaking curveball has been his best pitches this year. The last time he worked, he had a no decision 3 days ago in Oakland when he threw an inning and a third.
Bottom of the 7th inning, Mariners have a 6-4 lead. They scored in each of the 4 runs Hutchison pitched. Drew Hutchison going 4 innings, charged with 6 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits. Nelson Cruz. Cruz has hit well against Cecil in the past, got a couple of home runs. Two and 0 to Cruz, who's the DH this afternoon. Base hit for Cruz. Cecil missed his spot. They were trying to go down and away. Cruz has his second hit of the afternoon. Drive of the Game is brought to you by the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 17 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, the Drive of the Game is the big hit in this ball game. A fastball up and away to Robinson Cano, and he stays right with it. Doesn't try to pull it, goes with that pitch, and hits his 10th home run just out of the reach of Danny Valencia. It's a 3-run home run, and right now the difference of this ball game was our Drive of the Game.
Cano is starting to come up with some big hits. Bouncing ball. Travis will go to second for one. Return throw not in time. Nelson Cruz is forced out at second.
Ball was just not hit hard enough to turn it. The Blue Jays do everything they can. A return throw from Reyes. Half a step too late. As Cano beats it out.
Stays out of the double play. Seth Smith, the left fielder, was the scheduled batter. It'll be Franklin Gutierrez coming off the bench. Gutierrez has been a terrific player when he can stay on the field. I mean, the poor young man has dealt with some significant injuries over the years, but boy, does he have some talent.
Yeah, just crazy injuries for Gutierrez. Here are his numbers in 17 games, a couple of home runs and 6 RBIs. He was a big prospect for Cleveland and for the Mets. He came out here and had a couple of good years, but he's been battling the injury bug forever, it seems like.
First pitch is off the plate inside. Gutierrez, center fielder, and can play both sides of the baseball. As a pinch hitter, he has a pinch hit home run, a grand slam pinch hit home run. Line to Reyes, and Cano is back in time. So Gutierrez lines out to the shortstop. So now there are 2 down. Mark Trumbo. He was robbed of a base hit his last time up by Josh Donaldson on a hot shot grounder. First pitch breaking ball. Blue Jays have been out hit in both of these 2 games so far in this series. Seattle out hit them 9-7 last night. Today 8-5 is the advantage for Seattle. Another nasty breaking ball. Aaron Sanchez has returned to the Blue Jays. He is loosening up, and he will pitch this afternoon. Sanchez will work the rest of the season out of the bullpen, according to the Blue Jays. Cecil strikes out Trumbo to end the 7th. We'll go to the 8th. The Blue Jays need to rally late against Seattle. They trail by 2. Martin Valencia and Pilar will start things off. His last game as a Philly. Throws a no-hitter and then gets traded before the trade deadline. Lots of changes for the Mariners in the 8th inning. New pitcher is Fernando Rodney, making his 42nd appearance. He had 16 saves earlier in the season. He has since lost his closer's role.
Just too many base runners for Rodney in 38 innings. You can see the batting average is 261 and 291. The whip shows how many base runners, a 1.5 whip. 18 walks and 31 strikeouts for Rodney.
Dustin Ackley takes over defensively in left field. Franklin Gutierrez pinch hit for the left fielder Seth Smith. He takes over in right field. With that, Mark Trumbo is out of the game. Prince George, BC says, come on, Blue Jays, let's do something in the 8th. The Blue Jays have won just 2 of their last 7 games here at Safeco Field, despite all the Blue Jays fan support.
Yeah, trying to give them something to cheer about here. Give them a finish.
Martin, Valencia, and Pilar for the Blue Jays. Ezequiel Carrera has grabbed the bat. He's on deck. He will bat for Danny Valencia. This is the problem Rodney had that led to his demotion. Not throwing enough strikes.
He's got outstanding stuff. A great fastball and one of the best changeups in baseball, but he throws a lot of pitches. Doesn't always have great command and control. And he falls behind Russell Martin just like that, 3-1.
Rodney had the same problem before he went to Tampa Bay. And then Jim Hickey said, you know what? You better throw more strikes with your fastball. And he did. Resurrected his career in Tampa Bay. How about a leadoff walk in a 2-run game? That won't work. Now, Blue Jays fans trying to encourage their team to get back in this game. Martin does his part, a leadoff base on balls. Ezequiel Carrera will bat for Danny Valencia.
Carrera has never faced Rodney. He's not having that bat, but he bats left-handed and a little bit easier for a left-hander against that changeup.
Carrera's had a real rough stretch lately. He's had just 2 hits in his last 31 at bats. The first pitch strike. Very difficult for extra men like Carrera to keep any kind of streak going with the bat. Your ABs are so inconsistent.
In and out of the lineup. You know what you want to do if you're a pinch hitter and you don't play a lot is make the 3 strikes that you get while you're hitting count. So go up there swinging, get ready. First one you see, let it go.
Changeup floats off the plate outside. Carson Smith. No hesitation from Lloyd McClendon. He didn't have the confidence in Rodney.
You don't have the time. They're running out of time in terms of games this year. You can't mess around right here. They've got a pretty decent bullpen with some good arms down there. And he wants this win.
Seattle has won 2 in a row. They're still 7 games under 500, 9.5 back in the West. No swing, says Greg Gibson, down at third. Full count to Carrera, pinch hitting for Danny Valencia.
This is how the Blue Jays really put together a rally in the 2nd inning when Jay Happ couldn't find the strike zone. 4 walks in that inning. Blue Jays scored 3 runs.
And a hit batter. There's a deep drive to right. Get up, ball, get up. Gone. 2
Hey, that's how you make them count. Right there. Get a pitch out over the strike zone, and that's been a problem for Fernando Rodney this year. A walk and then a home run, and the Blue Jays have come back to tie it.
Carrera's second home run of the season, a very timely one. And that makes it 8 straight games for the Blue Jays with a home run. A 2-run homer, and we're tied 6-6. It's been a long drought for Carrera. We mentioned 2 for his last 31.
That feels good right there. That brought the fans alive, didn't it? 3-2, you got a little fastball. He gets it, times it perfectly. Sends it out of here. One more time, gets all of it. Rodney, for his career, hasn't had a lot of luck against the Blue Jays. So a little surprised they brought him in here in the 8th inning.
Well, you're just hopeful that he gets things turned around. You got a little bit of a cushion. 8th inning, bottom of the order. He wants Russell Martin to start the inning and then gives up a pinch hit home run. Rodney has really put the Mariners in a jam. Kevin Pillar has been on base twice this afternoon, hit by a pitch and a walk. Nobody out, top of the 8th.
Hey, keep it rolling right here. Make sure he comes to you.
Chop toward third. Seager unloads quickly, just in time to get Pillar. 1 down.
For his career, Rodney's 1-6 versus the Blue Jays. ERA's almost 5, and he just like that, 2 batters in, he gives it up.
Boy, those leadoff walks, they do nothing but encourage the batters. There are his numbers against the Blue Jays. Evan Travis pulls it to short. Taylor in time, 2 down.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Leadoff man Jose Reyes had a big double in the 6th, a 2 RBI double to drive home Devin Travis. He drove in the 4th Jays run. There's another drive to right. Gutierrez over. It's a foul ball. Rodney not fooling anybody right now.
Now he's thrown 20 pitches, 10 strikes, 10 balls. So when he does throw an over, it's right there. And Jose Reyes made a bid to untie this game. You can see it just squirts foul.
1-2. On the ground. Taylor at short. In time. The Blue Jays scored 2. Leadoff walk and a home run. 8 straight games for the Jays with a homer. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Hazel May and Greg Zahn. with a 2-run pinch hit home run. He takes over defensively in left field. He hit for Danny Valencia. And how about Aaron Sanchez? He has not pitched in a game since June 5th. Comes out of the bullpen to pitch the 8th. And quite a difference in his numbers for his career as a starter versus a reliever.
We thought we'd break it down just a little bit. The numbers as a starter still pretty good at 3.3 earned run average. The whip is a little high because of all the walks that he had early this season. As a starter, as a reliever, much better. And he can do that because he's basically going to throw 1 inning coming out of the bullpen. He's not going to use the curveball as much. He's going to use the fastball a lot. He'll throw that a lot more. And he's got more strikeouts per 9 innings. The average is about half. It is as a reliever as opposed to a starter. So he'll get a chance here in the 8th inning. And John Gibbons said he was going to get him an inning. Well, he didn't know it was going to be a big inning. This is a big inning right here in the 8th and a tie score.
6-6 ball game. It'll be the bottom third of the Mariners lineup. Logan Morrison, Chris Taylor, and Jesus Sucre. Morrison picked up an RBI in the 3rd on a fielder's choice. Sanchez has had a couple of outings in the minors, pitching relief.
When he came up last year and came out of the bullpen, he was just firing fastballs. Occasional changeup here and there, and just he used that great movement. You see that one, 97 miles an hour with great movement. He just attacked the strike zone with that fastball. Really put the hitters on the defensive.
'98. What are the long-term plans for Aaron Sanchez?
Well, the organization sees him as a starter long term, but with now 64 games left in the season, coming off of an injury, and he's 100%. They made that very clear that he's 100%. They want to pitch him out of the bullpen where they can control his innings just a little bit more and help out that bullpen.
That last pitch, I think, surprised Jim Joyce, the umpire. It was 99 on the plate. Pitch number 4. That's a little too fine when you have that kind of movement. And Sanchez, he's made some good pitches.
Yes, he has. Trying to get that called 3rd strike, that comeback fastball.
Ball is driven to left. Carrera over to his right. Makes the catch. 1 down. Aaron Sanchez began the season in the rotation, and you could see he had a rocky start to his career as a starter, but boy, was he picking it up of late.
Fastball command was the big problem that Aaron had early in the season. He just could not throw the ball where he needed to, and then his breaking ball wasn't very good. He was trying to incorporate that more into what he was doing as a starter. You have to do that. You have to have at least 3 pitches. So he had problems, but then he started figuring it out. And that start he had, I believe it was against Houston, was a gorgeous start. Pitched deep into that game and was pounding that strike zone.
Took a shutout into the 8th inning.
And no walks.
Yeah, he was figuring it out. His first 4 starts, he was throwing over 17 pitches per inning. And over his last 7 starts, he had knocked 2 full pitches off that total. So he was down where you want him, right at 15 pitches per inning.
Started getting the breaking ball over just a little bit more. He was actually cutting the ball sometimes, using his changeup.
Two balls and a strike to Chris Taylor, the shortstop. Blue Jays have tied it up. Ezequiel Carrera hit the 3rd pinch hit home run for the Blue Jays this season. That came off Fernando Rodney. Edwin Encarnacion, Danny Valencia, and Carrera with pinch hit home runs.
Tell you what it does for the Blue Jays, putting Sanchez in the bullpen, and they said he's going to finish out the season as in the bullpen. As you take a look at Rodney there, couldn't hold the lead. So they now have Osuna, Sanchez, and Bo Schultz, 3 guys who throw really hard, and they throw strikes at the back end of that bullpen. You throw in Brett Cecil, who's been doing a nice job. And suddenly the bullpen seems to be taking shape, especially the last part of the game. They have had a lot of problems late in ball games.
Little chopper toward third, and Donaldson makes a desperate throw, but no chance at all. A swinging, tapping ground ball that was just chopped up the third baseline. That'll go as a 1-out hit.
Donaldson was playing deep, so no chance to get Taylor at first base. He just runs too well. He'll get that from Aaron Sanchez because he's got that hard sinking fastball. Batters can't square it up. They top it, hit right on top of it, and get a lot of these type of dribblers.
Number 9 hitter is the catcher, Jesus Sucre. He's 1-for-3. Hit his first big league home run in the second. That was off Drew Hutchison. Up and in.
I'll tell you, if you can throw that sinker right now in a good spot, he is a candidate for a double play. By the time it gets away from him and throws it up and in.
An inside pitch is pulled foul. Called strike. There's been a lot of talk about where Sanchez is best suited, and as Pat said, the Blue Jays believe it's as a starter long term. And I can see why they put him into the bullpen here, just to make sure they can control his outings. Well, he's not getting any calls, that's for sure.
No, he is all over the strike zone. It's been a small strike zone all afternoon. We saw Russell Martin complaining about it earlier.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
1 inning here, where in the order there, those kind of ways you can control Sanchez's workload. That's a good pitch. There's nothing wrong with that pitch. There's got a lot of movement on it. He just doesn't get the call.
Pension umpire Jim Joyce behind the plate. And John Gibbons is letting him know how he feels about his strike zone. 3-2, 1 out, 6-6 ball game. Taylor at first. There goes the runner. Cut on and fouled off at the plate. Gibbons looking at the lineup card, checking out where they are in the Mariners lineup. The possibilities he might be dealing with. Sucre, number 9 hitter, back to the top of the order. Jackson and then Kyle Seager. Sanchez has thrown 18 pitches so far this inning. There goes Taylor again. Back to Sanchez. He'll go to second. Not in time. They get Sucre at first. Travis was there at the bag, but Taylor running on the pitch. And John Gibbons is going to say, wait a minute, I want to check at that call at second.
That's why you start the runner right there, to stay out of the double play. Again, he's a candidate for a double play. If he gets the ball on the ground, there's the play. He is obviously safe at second base. Travis uses that bag as a defender and finishes off the play over at first base.
Austin Jackson, the leadoff man, bats with the go-ahead run in scoring position at second. We're at the bottom of the 8th. It's a 6-6 game. sinker ball fouled off right at home plate. 0-2 now. This is the one thing that I think is a little bit of a concern. Sanchez, as a starter, started to develop a real good feel for that curveball. And now pitching out of the bullpen, not knowing when he's going to pitch, he doesn't have the time to refine that touch and feel on his hook. But he can reach back for a little extra, knowing his innings are going to be pretty much one-inning outings.
Have to work on it, and you never know when you're going to be playing.
And he throws the hook. It's hit hard, but right to Donaldson. Jackson lines out with a runner in scoring position. And the Blue Jays will bat in the ninth in a 6-6 game. Sanchez with his first inning of work. Donaldson helps him out at third. We'll go to the ninth. It's a tie game. Donaldson will lead things off.
.707. It is another one of our Summer Friday Fan Festivals presented by Bacardi. Get to the ballpark early for our pregame festival outside Gate 10. Gates will open at 4:30, and you can enjoy a live performance by special guest Chad Brownlee in the licensed area. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets. Buck?
Thank you, Mary. Quite an atmosphere here at Safeco Field. A fan on the Jumbotron out in center field held up a sign that says, "I am Canadian and root for the Mariners," and he was roundly booed. 6-6. They go to the ninth. Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion. This is Carson Smith. Big part of the order. Bring in your closer.
Bring in your closer, because you don't need him in extra innings when you're at home. There are the Sterling numbers. He picked up save number 9 in last night's ball game.
He is 9 for 10 in save opportunities. He had a strikeout. He faced Navarro, Valencia, and Pilar, and struck out Pilar to end the game. Donaldson fouls it off.
He comes into this game today rather hot, allowing just 6 runs in his last 28 games. And you bring him in here because you're facing the Blue Jays' best hitters.
Breaking ball downstairs, 2-1 to Donaldson. Blue Jays tied it up in the 8th off Fernando Rodney. Second home run they've hit off Rodney this season. Carrera got him a 2-run shot. Colabello hit a 2-run home run off of Rodney at Rogers Center in May. Three and 1. Part of the order for the Blue Jays.
How about this for reaction? Oop, and he catches it off the rebound.
Sucre bobbled it. Bautista has gone 0 for 4 today. Encarnacion 0 for 3 with a walk, and there's a strike on the corner. Donaldson wasn't so sure about it. Now it's a full count. There's ball 4. Leadoff walk in the 8th. Leadoff walk in the 9th. That'll drive a manager nuts.
It's the 8th walk this afternoon by Seattle. Blue Jays trying to take advantage of that wildness.
Carrera hit a 2-run home run after the walk to Russell Martin in the 8th. It was his 4th career home run. Breaking ball. 3 of the 4 home runs Carrera has hit have come in the 8th inning or later.
Ooh, he had a home run cut there.
He had a pitch middle, a little bit up, and fouled it back.
Carson Smith elevates a ball, and Jose just misses it. Like Sanchez, Smith's fastball's got some movement on it. Tough to get it up in the air.
Base hit down the right side. That's going to go into the corner. Donaldson's around second. He's headed for third. Bautista has doubled, and the Blue Jays are cooking here in the 9th.
We have seen Jose Bautista lately shoot the ball to right field a little bit more, straightening out that defense. And again, there's a lot of hits to the opposite field. Jose takes advantage of it. Inside out swing. He slices that ball down the right field line. The fans do not touch it. As you see, Donaldson slip just a little bit, so he cannot score. He can only make it to third base. And Jose sets up this inning with a double after the leadoff walk.
Bautista with that hit extends his hit streak against the Mariners here in Seattle to 16 straight. He has reached base in 36 straight games against Seattle overall. Blue Jay fans booing the intentional walk to Encarnacion.
Well, that's the right move right there. Then you can have a play at the plate on a grounder.
It's the 4th intentional walk issued to the Blue Jays all season long. That shows you what a balanced, potent lineup they have. You don't get many opportunities to pitch around a hitter because the guy behind him is just as good as the guy ahead of him.
That's right. But this is the right play. You're going to bring the infield in, and you get your share of ground ball outs. Lloyd McClendon's going to talk to his pitcher first, but you bring the infield in, ground ball, they got to go home to first.
Yeah, I think this is more of a defensive meeting than anything else. He's going to go out here and make sure everybody understands what he wants done in this situation. Walk, double, intentional walk. Bases loaded, nobody out. You can see McClendon's talking more to the infielders than he is to the battery, giving them instructions on how he would like to see this unfold should there be a ball hit on the infield.
What were those numbers for Colabello on the first pitch? That's what I'm looking for right now. This first pitch.
6-10 coming into this game. 25 for 41. And you can bet he's geared up for the first pitch. Remember, Colabello hit his first big league home run right here at Safeco Field in 2013. Infield is in. First pitch is inside. Blue Jays have hit 4 doubles and a home run. Bouncing ball, base hit. Donaldson's in to score. Here comes Bautista, and Colabello has delivered again. A 2-run single.
You know, you're just inviting trouble. You got to play the infield in. I get that. You got to play the infield in. But you're hoping for a ground ball right at somebody. If not, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get a 2-run single. And Lloyd McClendon tried his closer here in the 9th inning. It didn't work, so he's got to go back to the bullpen.
So Carson Smith is out of the game. He didn't retire a batter, and the Blue Jays have taken an 8-6 lead in the 9th. .38 ribbies. This is a big hit for the Blue Jays.
Right back through the middle. He gets on top of that Sucre and dribbles it through the middle for 2 runs. He's fired up as he lets the bench know. And there's another guy on the bench who is pretty fired up. It's that man right there. He stands to win this game now. That's Aaron Sanchez.
Sanchez in his first game coming off the disabled list. Colabello stays inside the pitch and drives it through the infield. Still nobody out. Joe Beimel, the left-hander, into the game.
There's Beimel, the left-hander. 29 games this year. He was selected from AAA at the beginning of May. Did not make this team out of spring training. Just 29 innings this year with a 1-1 record.
Russell Martin at the plate. Takes the first pitch, strike. Martin has walked twice. The Blue Jays have 9 walks this afternoon.
Gotten over that magic number of 7 runs a game. They got 8 more runs and counting here. Is that 33 times they've scored 7 runs this year? Something like that. I mean, something crazy.
The 9 walks, a season high for the Blue Jays. That's a Martin. Takes strike 2. He's not even turning around to look at the umpire. You remember in the bottom of the 8th, he and Jim Joyce did not agree on the strike zone with Sanchez on the mound. 8 runs on 8 hits for the Blue Jays. Slow breaking ball. 4 of the 9 walks have come around to score. Carson Smith didn't record an out here in the 9th.
They've actually been out hit, the Blue Jays, this afternoon by the Mariners. But now take the lead.
Beimel to second, Cano for 1, back to first, double play. Martin taps back to the mound. They turn 2. Encarnacion goes to third. And now Carrera will bat for a second time in this game. He had the pinch hit homer that tied it in the 8th off of Fernando Rodney.
Yeah, he got the big hits, the long ball. We've also seen him in this situation drop a bunt down to try and get that run in.
Seager at third, in on the grass. Carrera had been mired in an extended slump before that pinch hit home run. He was 2 for his previous 31 at bats. 0-65, but boy, no one remembers that now with that home run. Carrera has done a nice job in limited at bats against lefty pitching. 6 for 17, 353 average.
Stay on the ball right here. He's going to try and work him away.
$45,027 in attendance, bigger crowd than we had last night. Three and 1. It's a huge game for the Blue Jays on this road trip. They lost to Felix Hernandez last night, which doesn't really surprise you, but boy, falling behind in this game and then coming back in the 8th and 9th is huge. You got Mark Buehrle going to the mound tomorrow afternoon against Taijuan Walker. Buehrle is red hot.
Yep. And you were thinking win the series in Oakland, win the series in Seattle, get some momentum as you come home for a long homestand. Maybe the Blue Jays could get on a nice little roll.
Full count, 2 outs. Carrera covers that outside pitch and fouls it into the seats. Aaron Sanchez, in his first appearance since June 5th, goes an inning, gives up an infield hit, but strands a base runner. He is the pitcher of record for the Blue Jays. Carrera strikes out. Blue Jays are done in the top of the 9th, but they do some damage. Chris Colabello, what a surprise he has been for the Blue Jays, comes up with yet another big hit, a 2-run single. The Blue Jays are up 8-6. fan has accomplished a lot in life, and now he can fill in number 4 in that box, make it to Sportsnet on the Blue Jays game. You've done that. Roberto Osuna now, his 42nd game of the season, looking for his 5th career save.
In a save opportunity with those 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning for the Blue Jays. He's only had 5 of them this year, and he's converted 4 of them. 50 strikeouts and 10 walks for Osuna with a very good 228 earned run average. Other defensive changes for the Blue Jays. Justin Smoke has entered the ball game, and he has taken over at first base for Chris Colabello.
Osuna will face the meat of the Mariners lineup here in the 9th. Kyle Seager, Nelson Cruz, Robinson Cano, the best they have. Seager is 2 for 3 with a walk this afternoon. Osuna delivers a first pitch strike. This is the 3rd appearance for Osuna against the Mariners. Fly ball to center. Pilar is there. 1 down. Chris Colabello had a big hit in the 9th, and you go back to June at Rogers Center. Colabello in the 9th inning with a walk-off base hit as he drives in 2, and the Blue Jays win it. And then another big hit for Colabello this afternoon.
Same type of hit, this time with the infield in. He's going to score a couple of runs as he sends that one back through the middle. That first one against Houston, that was right around the start of that 11-game win streak for the Blue Jays. Maybe a hit like that by Colabello can ignite another one.
Nelson Cruz hits it to center. 2 down. Blue Jay fans finally have something to cheer about. Robinson Cano. If you're a Blue Jays player in that dugout, this has got to fire you up.
I'm telling you, every one of the players, this feels like a playoff game. The fans that come down here in Seattle, they're animated, they're passionate, they get fired up. They give standing ovations when the team takes the field.
Cano late on that fastball. You and I were obviously around during 92 and 93. You were on the team. This is the atmosphere the Blue Jays had every night.
Every night, everywhere.
Cano, another foul into the seats. When you look around this stadium, it's literally a sea of blue. Osuna wants another baseball. Last night there were 43,328. Today's attendance 45,027. Good changeup. Cano is able to get a piece of it.
Boy, the fans wanted that one. They can't believe that that ball was called off the plate.
Cano walks. A 2-out walk to Robinson Cano. The bullpen for the Blue Jays this afternoon has been outstanding. Liam Hendricks goes 2 innings. He didn't allow a hit. Cecil gave up a hit in his inning. Sanchez an infield hit in his inning. And Osuna has 2 outs. That's a shutdown bullpen.
Yeah, that's what they were hoping for. And why they put Aaron Sanchez into this bullpen. One more guy who can pitch towards the back end of this ball game. Now Osuna's got to finish it off.
Franklin Gutierrez lined out as a pinch hitter in the 7th. He pinch hit against Brett Cecil.
That run at first base means nothing, so the Jays are going to play behind Cano. The outfield is deep, nothing over your head. This represents the tying run right here, Gutierrez.
.97 from the 20-year-old.
We've seen a couple of 99s. I think he's pumped up. I think the crowd has got him fired up. And he is reaching back for a little something extra.
That'll do it. Roberto Osuna picks up the save. Aaron Sanchez is the winner in his first game back, his 6th win. How about Carrera, a pinch hit 2-run homer in the 8th, and then Chris Colabello, the game-winning 2-run single in the 9th.
You start with Drew Hutchison. Missed the last 2 starts. He goes out, gives the Blue Jays 4 innings, and then they turn it over the bullpen. And with this kind of offense, if you can shut down the team for 3 or 4 innings, you're going to win a lot of games. That's exactly what happens this afternoon. Blue Jays score 2 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th and get a very big win on the road.
Well, Mark Burley will pitch tomorrow afternoon against Taijuan Walker. The Blue Jays improved to 3-2 on this road trip. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Here's Blue Jays Central, Hazel May and Greg Zahn.